Yo, yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our WWE Raw reactions. This is part 2 of an epic episode of Raw where we saw a new opponent announced to face off with John Cena at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. And I can tell you right now, this opponent probably will come in as the favorite. Make sure you guys go back and watch part 1 if you somehow managed to skip that. There were some pretty big things that happened that directly kind of correlated into what we see coming up very shortly. Let's go ahead and finish off talking about the whole Xavier Woods, Big E, Kofi Kingston team that was forming here. Corey had asked us what we thought about that formation there. I was very excited about those two guys, being Big E and Kofi, teaming up. I thought they were going to beat Ryback to get momentum, possibly be future opponents for the Usos or the Wyatt followers. They lost. I was disappointed about that. Perhaps this whole Xavier Woods edition might be an addition for them, you know, make them stronger. What do you think, Retro?
Well, first off, I want to say Ryback is a strange team. It seems like they get a little bit of momentum, like win a couple matches, but they don't get pushed at all. They don't get pushed into the title picture. Then they go right back to where they were. Then they do the same thing over again, get a couple of wins under their belt, and then nothing.
Yeah.
But as far as the three-man team of Big E, Xavier Woods, and Kofi, I mean, I loved it when the Shield and Evolution were going at it, but there's not many three-man teams, except for 3MB. In the WWE right now, so who are you going to feud with?
3MB's gone now.
3MB versus
3MB's been fired, Retro Brett. I'm sorry to break the news for you.
Damn it!
Don't worry, Heath is still there.
I'm leaving.
Heath is still there, so at least you got him. But I know this is pretty much the precursor to this group. They're just now forming, so there's a lot to be uncovered here. Corey, I'm gonna put the question back to you here real quick, just to put a bow on this one. Do you think anything will come of this team? Do you like their chances?
I like their chances. As I was saying as we went off there in part 1, I'm all for seeing these three together. They're all three young, great talents. I feel like they should be pushed up the card. It's just going to be a matter of what they do with it. It seems like they will certainly be featured a little bit more in a new role. Maybe this new look for Big E and Kofi is what it's going to take to put them over the top.
I think so. All right. Well, guys, this is one of the biggest, craziest events that we've seen in a long time. In fact, it kind of reminds me of something that happened in the Attitude Era. You know, something that would have went down back then, perhaps involving one Stone Cold Steve Austin. But after a Flo Rida concert, I know, Corey, you're a huge Flo Rida fan. That's your favorite rapper. Just kidding, of course. We saw some strange guys in suits approach Stephanie McMahon. Corey, can you put all this into words for us?
Yeah, after Flo Rida's crap-worthy performance, we saw Stephanie McMahon, who announced it. She was then stopped as she left ringside by local detectives who, quote-unquote, arrest Stephanie for assaulting Brie Bella earlier in the night, as we talked about in part 1. Of course, Brie in storyline is not employed by WWE, thus making her, Stephanie, guilty of assault. And then Stephanie sort of resisted arrest a little bit, so maybe as they alluded to later, she was charged with that as well. Triple H was saying, you know, he's going to get the Jerry McDevitt on the line, who is the WWE's attorney. We heard huge yes, yes, yes chants as she's led away in cuffs by Dade County's finest. Seems like to me, guys, this is all building up to Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon, maybe with Triple H and Daniel Bryan in their corner, perhaps, at SummerSlam.
Well, I mean, that is, Corey, if somehow Stephanie McMahon gets out of prison, we can only assume that she's going to be locked up for a long time, Retro Brett.
Quite a while, just for a simple battery. But, yep, I believe it's battery there, Corey. But, yeah, it's all... I can't wait to see Stephanie in the ring again to wrestle. I mean, that's going to be super awesome. Brie versus Stephanie McMahon for her job, perhaps?
Oh, God, I don't think that'll happen, but that would be certainly pretty interesting. Hey, locked up. You know, Stephanie should maybe get some fighting skills under her. Maybe she gets in fights locked up. You never know. I mean, she might even be put in solitary confinement, knowing her rap sheet. So we'll have to keep an eye on that storyline, see if she can be bailed out. Because one thing we got to say, Triple H wasn't exactly in a hurry to go see her. At first it looked like it, but there was a huge decision to be made that everybody wanted to know. I mean, this was going to be a massive decision. Who's going to face John Cena in one of WWE's biggest events, SummerSlam? Had to be made here. Even though your wife gets arrested, I think we can all agree that this was way more important.
What's best for business.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys. Rusev versus the Great Khali. This is a battle of giants. And the Great Khali had a chance to be the first to take out Rusev here. I mean, this would possibly be someone that was legit enough to put that first loss on Rusev's record, because he is a legend, so to speak. But I thought in one of the most amazing sights ever, we saw Rusev put the Great Khali in the accolade. Truly a sight to behold. C-Dub, what did you think about the match?
Oh, man, that was definitely another impressive victory for Rusev, who we saw favoring the leg of, basically throughout the match after Swagger had him in that Patriot lock last night. Lana starts her spiel against the United States and got interrupted by the Great Khali making his entrance. Khali was on the offensive at the start, but Rusev's kicks and fury are too much for the big guy. Lana tells Rusev to crush. Rusev locks the accolade in on Khali, who eventually submits. Rusev slays the giant. Another huge, huge victory. Rusev's stock is rising. WWE certainly put a lot into this guy. I see a lot of equity in this stock, guys. I mean, as long as this Russia thing, which is a pretty sensitive topic right now, doesn't fire up too much. RJ, do you think anybody can stop the mighty Rusev?
Well, I believe there might be one person. Bo Dallas. When the undefeated streaks collide, it'll be an epic. It'll be like the equivalent of Goldberg versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. It'll be maybe not quite on that level. And I think Rusev will probably lose, possibly to Jack Swagger. We'll see. We might get a rematch of that one at SummerSlam or something like that, and that could finally come. But quick question for you, Retro. Did you think at all tonight while watching the match that Rusev might lose?
Well, Rusev got knocked around a little bit, but Great Khali's just never been in good shape. He always seems to get his ass kicked, even by the smallest people. I just got a few words for you. Well, it's the big show.
Ooh, nice.
Terrible. Don't ever do that again.
Okay.
So that was interesting. I think we all know watching the Great Khali sometimes can be a little bit awkward, but it was still an impressive win for Rusev, who is now residing in Moscow. Here we go, guys. Dean Ambrose versus Cesaro, the match we all were waiting for. This is one that I was extremely excited for, to say the least. Corey, what did you think about the match? What happened? Who won?
Well, it definitely seems like the Miami crowd was, definitely on their edge of their seats for this one. I know I was. Ambrose had great reactions. No more Paul Heyman for Cesaro. We saw him in his first outing, of course, since last week, where he kind of mysteriously came out without him. Ambrose still had the bad shoulder. Cesaro worked it over quite a bit in this match. Both of those guys got great reactions, but in my mind, if crowd response is any indication, seems like Ambrose is just a hair above Cesaro. Cesaro dominated on the attack a lot of the match. Eventually, Dean Ambrose pushed Cesaro off the top rope whenever Cesaro went for a superplex and sort of started making his comeback, hit a big front drop kick off the top. Ambrose just getting awesome reactions throughout the night here. I mean, both these guys were, it felt like match of the night to me. He dove out of the ropes at Cesaro. Huge cut-off clothesline from Cesaro, and a bunch of near falls here. Crowd was super hot. Cesaro hung Ambrose up in the corner for the finish in the tree of woe position, stomped on him, almost got disqualified. Ambrose comes back, gets the advantage, sends Cesaro into the ring post shoulder first, slides out of the ring, grabs a chair, nails Cesaro in the head with the chair in the arms, starts throwing a fit, throwing chairs into the ring like a maniac. Cesaro backs off. He does get the win by disqualification here. I'm looking forward to seeing more out of these two. Hopefully, this is something that can tide over Dean Ambrose for the Rollins feud. I got to ask you, though, out of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, guys, who do you think is going to be the first Shield member, former Shield member, to capture the WWE World Heavyweight Championship?
That's a no-brainer. It's got to be Roman Reigns, the guy we're looking at right now. I think it's quite obvious that it's Roman Reigns. It's only a matter of time. But when it comes to Dean Ambrose, man, this guy is really impressing me here. Corey, the one thing I really took out of this match, man, he was in these gruesome submission holds the whole match, man. Cesaro really was putting him in some crazy positions. And I really think that shows you how much punishment Ambrose can take. And he reminds me of possibly like a Mankind style guy where he's going to be able to take this crazy, unbelievable amount of punishment, still come out with victories. Of course, he also had a very impressive DDT that he landed on Cesaro. And, I just thought he looked great in this match. He's been great all the way around. And if it wasn't for the fact that Roman Reigns was just so damn awesome, no more to say about that than this guy's a boss. But Dean Ambrose is right behind him. And hell, man, Seth Rollins is sick too. How can we pick between the guys? But Dean Ambrose took some punishment here, Brett.
Well, going back to what Corey's question, I'm going with Seth Rollins. He's the Mr. Money in the Bank, and that means any time he wants within the next year, he can cash in the Money in the Bank and get the title.
Yeah.
But Ambrose took some punishment. I thought Cesaro was working him over pretty well, but he came out on top, and I think he shoved Cesaro into the ring post 3 times and blasted his shoulder with a chair. He's definitely the lunatic fringe.
No doubt. Corey, do you going back to the whole he took a lot of punishment? Do you take, you've seen every wrestler there is to watch. Do you take anything out of that? Do you think that's going to be a huge benefit to him going forward? The fact that he can basically suffer and still come out every time?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like Dean Ambrose, he plays the babyface role, the good guy role really uniquely. It's definitely not your typical just, hey, I'm a good guy. I feel like that, him being able to sell like he does and take all this punishment is definitely a benefit for him going forward. And he's certainly over with the fans right now. I got to say, as far as the question I asked you guys, I'm probably going Roman Reigns getting the title first, but there's a lot to be said for Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. All 3 of these guys are super over. Props to WWE for really getting these guys over in the last year. Yeah,
we'll never forget the Shield. I know that sounds corny, but to me, was just an awesome trio, and I kind of miss them. It's too bad we had to see them go, but these guys are too good as singles competitors to be in part of a team. That's just the bottom line. Maybe one day, it'll be a long time from now, but one day we'll see them come back and reunite. But I think we'll have to see a change in Seth Rollins' personality if that happens. All right, guys, now we come to the huge announcement. Triple H held off going to the jail where his wife was being held to make this announcement. And who did he announce? Randy Orton. Wow. But that wasn't the end. Corey, what happened after that?
Yeah, Triple H came out at the very end there, about 10:58 p.m. by my clock. Introduced us to Cena's opponent for SummerSlam. Cue Randy Orton's theme music to literally no reaction whatsoever from the crowd. Completely farted on it, as did I. But out of nowhere, Roman Reigns comes out and destroys Randy Orton. Those two fight into the back through the crowd. Much to the surprise of Triple H, he's kind of sitting there confused a minute. We hear the chants, guys. We want Lesnar. We want Lesnar. And as soon as that started, out comes Paul Heyman to a crazy reaction. He goes on to say, guys, Plan A doesn't work with Orton dealing with Reigns. Plan B is always being thwarted by Dean Ambrose. Heyman tells us and tells Triple H that it is now time for the Authority to make the choice of implementing Plan C. The crowd definitely agreed, guys. Out comes Brock effing Lesnar to an amazing response. Holy crap. The freaking roof went off that place. The Beast Incarnate has returned. The announcers, of course, mentioned the fact that Triple H and Lesnar had a history together. Lesnar gets in the ring with Heyman. Triple H smirks and shakes Heyman's hand. And then, surprisingly, Brock Lesnar's hand. Paul Heyman gets on the mic and talks about how Brock Lesnar conquered The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, and now he is going to conquer the 15-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion, John Cena. He basically, told Lesnar that sounded like something worth conquering. Heyman was awesome here in this segment, guys. To me, he's the one last great pro wrestling manager. I have to ask you, Retro Brett, who is a faithful member of the C Nation, just what in the hell do you think John Cena is going to do whenever Brock Lesnar gets his hands on him at SummerSlam?
I think he's going to call Ghostbusters. No, I think that he can't do anything. I'm actually looking forward to him getting his ass kicked. As much as of a fan of him I am, but sometimes you just gotta get your ass kicked. And Lesnar is a huge fighting machine. He's trained in multiple forms of combat, and I mean he took down the Undertaker. He's gonna take down Cena. But if Cena loses, this opens him up for another title reign sometime in the future, which will be number 16.
Yeah, and of course that would tie Ric Flair's record. So it appears, I know Corey, from talking to him off camera, appears he thinks Lesnar is the heavy favorite. Retro Brett, it appears you think Lesnar is the heavy favorite over Cena as well then.
Oh yes, there's no doubt.
Yeah. Corey, you're a huge fan of Brock Lesnar. I know this must have been a big night for you to see him finally come back, and from what you're saying, you think he'll be around for a while, which this definitely opens up a chance for Lesnar to defeat Cena and take the championship. I have my doubts. I have to say I'm going to be the guy here picking Cena over Lesnar, but you guys don't seem to think it's possible. Corey, you think Lesnar's going to be the next champion?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, tonight, Paul Heyman told you. I mean, it's a fact. John Cena is going to lose the title at SummerSlam. And that's just all there is to it. I mean, Lesnar conquered the streak at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar is a legit fighting machine. He's completely undeniable. That's a fact. Lesnar will conquer Cena at SummerSlam, just like he took the streak, just like Paul Heyman said. And Retro Brett, it's a good thing you agree, because there's not a damn thing John Cena can do about it.
Well, you got to give the devil his due. Got to be realistic.
So we're watching, of course, Cena, who will be Lesnar's opponent on the left there with Cesaro, and there, speak of the devil, is Brock Lesnar. And I think this is going to be an interesting dynamic. As Corey mentioned earlier in Raw Reactions, Paul Heyman is now exclusively with Lesnar. Well, he didn't mention that per se. He mentioned that Cesaro is no longer with Lesnar, but that, of course, with Heyman, but that opens up Heyman to be with Lesnar. Corey, it sounds like you like that combination going forward to remain.
Most definitely, man. I mean, Paul Heyman, like I said, is the one last great pro wrestling manager in the game today. He was pure gold on the mic tonight. Brock Lesnar doesn't have to speak. He can rest on his laurels and not have to speak. Let everything in the ring speak for itself. As far as answering your question earlier about Brock Lesnar sticking around, I absolutely see him capturing the title here at SummerSlam, and then probably sticking around till about WrestleMania. I see them building Lesnar up as what he is and making something out of him conquering the streak. Brock Lesnar is the most unstoppable force in WWE today, both in storyline and probably in real life, I would have to guess. So, I definitely see Lesnar sticking around probably till after WrestleMania, and I see a lengthy title reign ahead for the Beast Incarnate.
Yeah, C-Dub, I know you've been hyping up Brock Lesnar for a long time now. we'll see if he's got what you say he's got, and that's the ability to kick everybody's ass in the WWE. We'll find out at SummerSlam if he can start it off with John Cena, because me personally, I want to see him against Roman Reigns. Let's see if that happens one day. One thing I do want to say, guys, as we conclude another episode of WWE Raw Reactions, make sure to also follow us on Twitter. It's a good way to get a hold of us whenever you want, and it's a cool way to kind of interact with us. We'll, of course, retweet you guys whenever you have awesome tweets, that kind of thing. You can find most of us just by tweeting at TrippyComs. C-Dub, I know you have a Twitter as well. How can they reach you, buddy?
Yeah, it's at C-Dub TrippyComs. No spaces. C-D-U-B TRIPPYCOMMS. Make sure you guys, while you're here right now, as well as following us on Twitter, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like, share, tell a friend, and make sure you always come back and join us every week for Raw Reactions. Right after Raw, we'll always be bringing you the best, the most hard-hitting WWE coverage. Most certainly, guys, you got to stay tuned here as we build into SummerSlam.
Remember, every Tuesday, stay tuned for our WWE Raw Reactions. For C-Dub and Retro Brett, I'm RJ. Stay trippy, guys.